Good morning, and welcome to our webinar, Local Search Tips and Tricks, Google My Business, and the Local Pack. My name is Martin Morgan, and I am the Marketing Director at Repair Shop Websites. I'm excited to be with you this morning and to have the opportunity to talk through local search tips and tricks. And my goal is to give each of you 3 to 4 things that you can walk out of this webinar with as far as to-dos, as far as practical tips that you can utilize either when it's over or this afternoon, maybe this weekend, or if you're watching this via video, hopefully after the webinar is over. But I really try to focus on practical tips that you can use, that you can apply. And with that, I know that your time is very valuable, and I've got a lot of ground to cover here, so we will go ahead and get started. So our ride today, we're going to focus on answering 5 specific questions, hopefully more than 5, but these 5 specifically. What is the local pack? How important is the local pack? Where does the information come from for the local pack? What are the local pack ranking factors? And what can I do to increase my shop's chances of showing up in the local pack? And you may notice, as you look at this list, that nowhere was Google My Business specifically referenced, yet Google My Business is really the answer to almost all of these questions. And we'll get into the details, we'll jump into it, and you'll see how it all ties in together. So I want to start first with a search engine results page. So I type auto repair into my search box and hit go, enter, whatever it is. And this is what I see from my desktop. So from my home, from my desktop, this is the search engine results page, or SERP, S-E-R-P, and this is what the results look like for me. I do want to mention, though, quick, as I forgot to at the very beginning, if you have a question during any point of this presentation, feel free to type that either into the question box or the chat box. I will be looking at that at the end, and we'll answer questions there. If you happen to be on video, then obviously you'll get my email address at the end as well, so feel free to use that and shoot me an email at any time if you have a question. Back to our search engine results page here, auto repair from the desktop. These are the results I see. Moving from left to right really represents top to bottom. You can see in the left, the ads are at the top. Then we've got the map, and then we've got the local pack. So the local pack here is really at the top of the second panel that you see there. That's followed by the organic results with a people also asked box inserted in there. And then as you get toward the right side, which is really the bottom, you see there's discover more places and some additional searches you can click on if you want to do that. But as I mentioned, that local pack box is really that box that's right below the map. You kind of include the map. You may or may not include the map, but the local pack officially are those 3 listings right there. As we look at I conducted the same search on my phone, so we look at a mobile search and we look at the search engine results page. Compare and contrast that a little bit. There are definitely some similarities, but there are definitely some differences here as we look at this. You can see, again, moving left to right, which represents top to bottom. Right at the very top on the mobile search is the map and the local pack. Below that, we get a couple organic results. Then strangely, we get this box I don't think I've ever seen before that says refined by amenity, a people also ask box right under that. We've got another organic search result, but then we've got interesting finds. We've got another organic result, but then we've got search by photos. Then we have some more organic results before we get to discover my places. So on the mobile search engine results page, you see that this is carved up multiple different places, but yet that local pack is right at the very top. And that's one of the things that makes the local pack so important, is it is prime real estate. You can see, again, on mobile search where it is at the very top. And then as we go back to looking at the desktop results, they've got the ads on top, but then the local pack is just below that. So one of the key reasons that the local PAC is so important is because it holds prime real estate. The other reason that the local PAC is so important, we're going to get to right now. So Bright Local did a test, almost like a survey, but really it was a test where they brought a bunch of people in to conduct searches for local services. And local services, similar to a repair shop, auto repair shop was not one of the services they specifically asked them to look for, but there were a lot of similar services to that included in here. They brought them in, they kind of did a look over the shoulder, search for this service, and they watched and they saw how they searched, what they used, what they did once they got to a search engine results page. And what they found is this. So you can see the clicks percentages here. At the top, you've got PPC ads, that was 14%. The map was a pretty small 2%. And then you see the local PAC results there, 32.3%. And organic search results right below there, obviously also very important, 50.8%. But obviously, because of what we're looking at today, I want to draw some specific attention to the local PAC results, which showed that nearly 33% of all the people looking for local services clicked right on that local PAC. And that's nearly 1 in 3 searches, or 1 in 3 clicks for all, 1 of 3 clicks on this search engine results page. So that's definitely a big number. And this was very specific to local services. So obviously, that's even more important to you as a repair shop because you're looking for those local services. You're looking for local customers. Again, as I mentioned, organic search still wins out at nearly 51%. So that's obviously important, no doubt about that. But the local PAC, also really important. Again, 1 in 3 clicks. So as we talk about why is the local PAC so important, prime real estate and lots of clicks. And the thing that feeds right into the local PAC, as I mentioned, Google My Business, and we're going to focus a lot on Google My Business. And the reason for that is the Google My Business, your Google My Business profile is what Google uses to assess whether you should be included in the local PAC. So if you don't have a Google My Business profile, you're not going to show up in the local PAC because that's what Google uses. So the Google My Business profile is really, really important to whether you show up in the local PAC or not. And all the details related to the Google My Business profile are going to determine where Google shows you in the local PAC. So Google My Business profile, really important when it comes to the local PAC. And we're going to dive right in there and talk about all those pieces right now. Some of the specific Google My Business features, you've got location, you've got category, photos and videos, description of your business, services, which I'm going to touch on with some depth on the next slide, reviews, appointment requests, messaging, which you may not know, but it's basically almost like a Facebook Messenger, but they have the Google My Business Messenger that allows you to text back and forth with customers potentially through your Google My Business profile. You've got Q&A, question and answer, which you might think can only be populated by stuff that people ask you, but that's not the case. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the presentation. And then you also have posts, which are similar to what you might see in any other social media type platform. So you can utilize posts, you can put information about your shop out there in a post, you can highlight specials or promotions that you might have through a post. But the important thing to know about posts is they have an expiration date, let's say. So they're not going to just stay up there forever. There's still a way for people to access that, but you can't just use posts and then expect, okay, I posted this once. It's going to stay up there forever. No, it's not. So it's an important note there related to posts. But as I mentioned, I want to hit on services here. And the reason I want to spend some time here is because in all of the marketing we did for this webinar, we referenced a significant new Google My Business feature that's going to really help you stand out from the competition. And services is that new feature. It's not brand new, but it's really pretty new, and only certain categories get to use this feature. An auto repair shop is one of those categories, and that's a huge benefit to you. And as I mentioned, I look at lots of Google My Business profiles for repair shops, and I do not see repair shops using this feature from Google My Business, and that's a big miss. So if you're not using this, this is a chance for you to really stand out from your competitors. And so what you do, you go into your Google My Business profile. There's a services thing that should be on the left. There's often multiple ways to get there. But what you want to do is you want to go through here and you want to select the services that you offer. And here's just the beginning of the list. Scroll down for more. I just screenshotted what I found as I looked for auto repair shop. But any of these that you do, you want to include. So if you look at here, it's a good list, right? So you've got AC, installation and repair. You've got battery, brakes, again, AC, car waxing, check engine light diagnostic. It goes on as you scroll down, but select the ones that you do at your shop. And Google is going to use this to determine which shop is most relevant to the search that a user of Google is conducting, a potential customer of yours. So if somebody specifically searches for brake repair and you have selected brakes as a service that you offer, chances are going to be much better for you to climb up that list in the local path because you have said you offer brake services. And that is also going to help your website show up in search as well, because the website and your Google My Business profile are like the big 1-2 punch when it comes to your online presence, and they complement each other a lot. A really good website is going to help you do better in the local path and help your Google My Business profile show better results. Similarly, your Google My Business profile, and as much as it's filled out as detailed as it is going to help your website do better in the organic search results. So it's important that you've got those two things working together. And this service is going to put you beyond many of your competitors because they're not doing it. And you can jump in there, you can select the service you offer, and it's going to help you. So do that. Please go out there and make sure to do that, because shops are not doing it. They are not taking advantage of this feature right now. So we talked about the features that are included within Google My Business, but an important question is, all right, so the local path, what is the number one ranking factor for the local path? And I should mention, so Google is, maybe it's a handful, maybe it's more than a handful of engineers or data scientists or whatever it might be who are working on the algorithm for Google are the only ones that truly know the answer to what is the number one ranking factor. They factor in lots of things, right? But there's been some data gathered, there's been surveys, often based on data that people have gathered, where they've asked, all right, what is the number one ranking factor when it comes to the local pack? And what determines what shows up first on these local pack rankings? And the answer, proximity to the searcher. So if you thought, wow, it seems like it always just shows up as the ones that are closest to me anytime I conduct a search, you would be correct. For the most part, you're often going to see it in order of distance. And I've got 3 examples here. We were testing this a few weeks ago just to see if it still held true. Kind of random, but I'll go from left to right. So the one on the left, random location in downtown Atlanta, you can see top to bottom, 0.4 miles, 0.4 miles, 0.8 miles. The middle, Churchill Downs in Louisville, had the chance to go there a few years ago. Just an awesome, awesome place. Lots of fun. Threw that up there. Reading from top to bottom, 0.5 miles, 0.7 miles, 0.8 miles. Exactly by distance. On the right, Fenway Park, Boston, 1 mile, 1.1 miles, 0.9 miles. So that's a little bit different. What we may not know is I think it was an afternoon I conducted this meeting, maybe some rush hour type traffic, and Google may be smart and may know that it's actually going to be closer for you to travel that 1.1 miles than it would be to travel the 0.9 miles. So, they may be factoring in how quickly you can get there. Proximity to searcher is the number one factor. This is why when you search for auto repair in your shop and you look at the local path and you are listed number one, it's because you are in your shop. And obviously you've got great proximity to the searcher. But what's more important, perhaps, is if you go down the road a little bit and you try to conduct that same search, where do you show up then? And it is not only proximity, and it more and more we're getting the feeling that other things are definitely involved, but there may be more opportunity based on other stuff that you are doing with your Google My Business profile that'll help you continue to show good results in the local path. So don't give up and say, it's all just location, it doesn't matter. That's not true. And you still need to be doing a bunch of stuff that's going to help you in lots of ways. But I've got a couple of other examples here from Raleigh, North Carolina. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. These are 2 Panera Bread locations, not that far from each other. I've got a thing on my computer so I can put in an address and conduct a search that shows that I am in that specific area. So that's really helpful, as you might expect in these cases. Went in here, conducted these searches from 2 different Panera Bread locations here in Raleigh. Again, North Raleigh, Raleigh's not the biggest city, obviously, in the world. It's a decent-sized city. Nonetheless, you see 3 completely results in each of these local paths. So it is very location dependent. And as you might expect, we talked about that. The one on the right, quick 0.2 miles, 0.4 miles, top to bottom, the one on the left, 0.2 miles, 0.8 miles. Now, interestingly, the third listing, a Sears Auto Center, 0.3 miles, technically closer than the second one, comes up third though. And you look at here, what might be the reason? 3.0 on a review average, right? So we're going to get into it in a couple slides here about some of the other factors, and they might be gaining some more weight. That 3.0 review average, most likely hurting them there. And I'm going to get even closer, so 0.7 miles down the road, Capitol Boulevard, one of the main arteries in Raleigh. You can see here a distance of 0.7 miles. And as you look at this, you can see again, 3 completely different shops highlighted in this local path, which is only 0.7 miles down the road from the one on the left. Now, I mentioned proximity as the number one factor. What else matters? This comes from a local search ranking factor survey from a couple of years ago. I mentioned that. You got lots of experts voting on what they think is the key piece here, what is really factoring in, and proximity came up number 1. Number 2, though, physical address and city of search, okay, basically the same thing. Number 3, proper GMB category associations, and we talked about that, right? Making sure you have the right category is definitely important. What else plays a factor? So we've looked at the top 3 there. And we may wonder, okay, what else is a factor here amongst these top 3, beyond these top 3? And as we look at that, other factors. Number 9, domain authority of website. I've talked about how the website feeds into the local pack and how the local pack feeds into the website, how the website feeds into Google My Business. Google My Business feeds into the website. So your website influences where you show up in the local pack, completeness of your GMB listing, all those features that I showed earlier, you want to make that complete. You want to complete your listing. Quantity of Google reviews, I didn't just mention that, but this is a key factor and important. The more Google reviews you can get, the more likely you are to show up in that local pack. Product or service keywords in reviews. So as we talk about reviews, ask for reviews. Ask your happy customers for reviews. And when you ask them for the review, feel free to say, or I'd highly encourage you to say, and hey, if you could put the service that we conducted for you in there, that would be really helpful. And that's especially in those instances where if you performed a service that you want to get more of. So if you have just done an engine repair work, and you know you want more engine repair work, then specifically ask that customer to include that. Or maybe it's brake work, maybe a full brake job you've done for somebody. Ask them to reference the service, because that'll matter as well. You know, Google goes out there, those spiders are crawling every ounce of that Google My Business profile, which is why that services feature we talked about can be so important. But they're crawling every aspect of that profile. So ask your happy customers to include the service in those reviews. Product or service keyword in the GMB landing page title, and that means that link that you put to your website within your Google My Business. You want to make sure those page titles are done well, right? So if they can include products or services, if you've got auto repairs, you've got things like that in that title of that page, that's going to make a difference. And then high review rating. Chances are this may have jumped up. You know, we're looking at this in 2 years. We're going to look from 2 years ago. Going to look at another one in a second, updated for 2020. But high review ratings, and that's what I had pointed out on that last one where you had that Sears Auto Center 3.0 on review average, not very good. Likely is why it fell below, even though it was closer. As I mentioned, there was another one of these surveys done in this year. It wasn't conducted exactly the same, but it still gives us good information to go by, as well as hope that there's more to it than just location. And what was said here is number one was Google My Business Elements. Those are all the things that we've been talking about here in this presentation. All of those pieces that we've talked about play the number one role according to the most recent. Number two was Google reviews. Can't emphasize enough, ask for those reviews. And number three, proximity of searchers. So an important note here, these are all pretty close, right? So it's not like GMB Elements is way above. And I think there's lots of variables here that matter. So if for instance, let's say I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan, that's true. I search for Los Angeles Rams schedule. My proximity doesn't matter, right? It doesn't factor in to that. Another thing that might be a little more relevant, let's say that for some reason I am maybe you've got a parent in a different city, you know, not where you currently are, and you're searching for you know that they need some plumbing work done within their home. And so you're searching, as I said, I'm in Raleigh. Let's say I've got parents that live in Alexandria, Virginia. And so I'm in Raleigh and I type into my search box, plumbers, Alexandria, Virginia. Because of where I am, proximity to searcher no longer matters, right? So I'm likely to get a local path that will show up on my results page, but it doesn't matter how close that is to me because I'm not looking for plumbers in Raleigh. I'm looking for plumbers in Alexandria, Virginia, right? So that's going to affect this a little bit as well. So, you know, in those cases, that's probably why proximity of searcher falls to 3. But no, as we've conducted, as we've tested, as I've shown you, more often than not, proximity is the number one factor, but it is not always the number one factor. And it doesn't mean it always will be, which is why it makes all these things that we'll share as far as tips in the next slide important, because you want to do all those things. So if Google, you know, tweaks that algorithm a little bit and all of a sudden reviews count more, or, you know, they're really looking at services or description, making sure that you're doing all those things. You want to make sure you've got that set and ready to go and you're in a good place. Another important point, so Google just doesn't take what somebody puts in their Google My Business profile as the word and not check on that. They go out to verify credibility. An important piece here, so 99% of the time, they're going to verify that with a website. So they may use other things, but the website, as I mentioned, when it comes to Google My Business and your website, the 1-2 punch for your online presence, they're going to take that information. They're going to look to verify that by finding it also on your website. A few other things they're most often using here. We've got Yelp, probably pertains to you. TripAdvisor, OpenTable, not so much for repair shops, at least the vast majority of them. But Facebook, also important. but they're looking to just verify that information. Google is really good with gauging credibility, right? They don't want to show a repair shop in the local pack that is closed or fake or not doesn't show that they've got other things happening, so they may not be open. They want to try to verify that as much as possible because they want to give the searcher the best possible results. Okay, so now here's the part where we get to what can you do? What can you do to help your shop do well in the local pack, regardless of your location? Because you can't just obviously lift up your shop and move it down the road to be closer to one specific searcher. You can't do anything about that. But there are things that you definitely can do that are going to help you in the local pack, and they all are totally connected to your Google My Business profile. So this is your Google My Business profile optimization game plan. Number one, NAP, name, address, phone. And you see I've highlighted it here. Garner Auto Specialist, one of our great customers. They do a really good job with this. The name, address, phone, you can see you want to make sure your name, your address, and your phone are consistent, are the same on the most important pieces that Google is going to use to verify your credibility. Obviously, the Google My Business profile is one of those areas, and you see here, you can see directly on that local pack, you've got name, address, phone right in there. You want to make that consistent. You want to make sure they're the same. You want to make sure they're the same on your website. You want to make sure it matches up to those key other online platforms that are out there. So what are those? You've got Facebook. You've got something like Yelp. Yelp can be important as well. And you've got Bing search and Apple Maps, also a good one. So those are key pieces. You want to make sure that your name, address, phone are the same on all of those. Category. I've mentioned this. You want to make sure you choose that right category. For most of you, that's going to be auto repair shop. You can see here I had started to type in auto repair or REP. Auto repair shop pops up first. There are some other options here. Depending on what type of shop you are, or maybe you focus more on towing or whatever you want to feature, maybe your specialty, and they may have the option for you to select that. But that category matters because it's one of the key things that Google uses to determine who will show up in that local pack. So you want to make sure you've got that category selected and you've got the right category for your shop. Services. Spent a lot of time on this earlier. Just to hit on this again, go in there, select services that you offer. If you can, select at least 5. Again, that is going to be a thing that Google is going to use to determine how relevant you are to the specific search that somebody is conducting. So if somebody is looking for a local service, if they're looking for a brake job, if they type in brake repair, it's going to automatically factor that in as a local search. And if you have selected brakes as a service that you offer here, you are going to increase your chances of showing up in that local pack. You're also going to help your website search, most likely. So you want to get in there, select those services. Description. As I mentioned with services, lots of people, lots of shops out there not using description at all. I had to hunt and hunt and hunt to find one that was using description. In fact, I quit. You can see here on the left. I used ours from repair shop websites. Here's our description. Pretty simple, to the point, more of a paragraph type format. Then finally, when doing something else, I stumbled upon Chapel Hill Tire, which is a shop. It's actually multiple shops here in this area, and saw that they had a description and thought, wow, this is good, and it's a nice alternative to what we do, something that's probably going to work even better for a shop. So you see ours, it's more paragraph format. Chapel Hill Tire, look at the way that their description is broken out. So they've got the lines in between the key pieces that they're hitting there. And this gives you another opportunity to promote your shop. Maybe the best way to do that is to tell the story of your shop. Maybe the best way to do that is to hit these short, quick bites here. Complete car care since 1953. Lowest prices on new tires. Free, no contact pickup and delivery. They've got their warranty. You can hit on all those things, all those individual things that might attract a customer to go to your shop. But use that description, because Google is going to crawl every piece of your Google My Business profile to determine which shop to show in the local path. And if you've got that description and you've got some of those key services, which can also help you, Chapel Hill Tire, as you might expect, they specialize in tires. They've got tires in there. If your specialty is transmission, then you want to include transmission in there, but use that description. It's another asset, another way that you can not only communicate to potential customers, but to communicate to Google what you're all about. Link to your website. Most shops already have this set up. You'd expect that to be the case. It's been available for quite a while. But one thing that I want to raise attention to is what Garner Auto Specialist is doing. And if you look in that right panel that I've highlighted in orange, they're under products and services, they've used that to post a link to their website. Under appointments, they've used that to post a link to their website. So you've got multiple places where you can post that link, and you want to try to take advantage of as many of them as are relevant. It doesn't make sense to do that. Or if you're using a different platform, let's say for appointments, utilize that piece right there to put a link to that other platform where you're taking appointments. But make sure to include those websites, because a lot of times people may find a business in the local path, but most often potential customers, they don't just see a business there and then just go. They're going to want to verify your credibility as well. So they're likely to click on that website and just find more information, to verify, okay, yeah, this business is who I thought they would be. Looks like they're a great fit for me. I'm going to go ahead and give them a call. Reviews. I've said it probably feels like 500 times to you as you've been watching this webinar, and we've been emphasizing this for many years, but you want to get those reviews. A couple of highlights here. The one on the left, 225 reviews. That's a good number. Set a goal. Set a goal, and anybody you can get involved. Work toward that goal, and once you hit that goal, set the next one. Because the more reviews you have, the better it's going to be. Ask those happy customers. And then the one on the right, which I love what they're doing here. You've got response from owner. Respond to those reviews that you're getting. Make sure to respond to those reviews, because that shows Google that you're an active business. It also is an opportunity for you to reference the services, maybe a make or model of car that you service. Opportunities there for you, again, to put some of that key information that's going to help you show up. So make sure you're responding to those reviews. And another important key kind of pulls all of these things into one: stay active. So we talked about services. It's probably not a place where you're going to be able to be too active unless you roll out a new service. Similarly, description of business, but maybe you've changed things. Certainly over the past 6 months, unfortunately, because of all the coronavirus and COVID stuff, we've had more opportunities to communicate changes in our business than we would have liked, for sure. But so that might change description. But these 4 I've highlighted here: photos, videos, add new photos, add videos. If you've got videos, add videos, add your new photos there. Make a habit of doing that. Reviews, keep those reviews active. Ask happy customers for reviews, respond to the reviews. Q&A, I mentioned that earlier. We look at that and we say, oh, okay, well, this is just a place for people to ask us questions. Yeah, it is, but you know what? You can ask questions of yourself. It doesn't have to be an external person. So think about that from the standpoint of what are the 4 to 5 questions you usually get on the phone? What do people not know? What do you wish people knew about you that they don't know before they call you? Or what are those opportunities you might have to describe something you do that's special that you may not otherwise have? Can you do the whole thing yourself? So type in the question, type in the answer, hit post, whatever it says, submit, and it'll go up on your profile. You can own that. You don't have to wait for people to ask you a question. And again, that shows activity. It shows you responding. And then we talked about posts a little bit. You can utilize posts out there, post your specials, post new information about your shop. As things change relating to how things are set up currently based on maybe restrictions you have locally for COVID safety reasons. Communicate those things to people as well. But create a rhythm for yourself, right? So maybe say, okay, my goal is going to be once a month I'm going to post a new Q&A, or every other week I'm going to post new photos. So we're going to make sure we're taking photos of customers, work, the shop, the team, things that are happening, and make sure to stay active, because that activity, that sends signals to Google. This is an active business. We want to show them and look the local path. This is an active business, right? So that is only going to help you with all of these things. One last review of your Google My Business profile optimization game plan, and take these pieces. If you haven't built these out, if you haven't done anything relating to these things that we're mentioning here, take this as your to-do list. So after the webinar, get out there, go ahead and do it later today, this weekend, whatever it might be. These are the things you really want to focus on. Number one, your name, address, phone. Make sure they're consistent across your platforms. Category, most often, for most of the people, most repair shops, it's going to be auto repair shop. There are other options that may appeal to you a little bit more. Services, get out there, select your services, try to hit at least 5, but do it. It's going to differentiate you. It's going to give you a good shot to beat out your competitors. They're not going to be utilizing this. Description, same type of thing as services. Repair shops out there are not using the description to its fullest extent, not taking advantage of this opportunity to communicate to customers and to Google. Link to your website. Take advantage of the multiple opportunities to do so. That might be something that catches somebody's eye that otherwise wouldn't. Reviews. I'll say it once this time. I've said it a million times already. Go ahead, ask for those reviews and respond. And stay active. Keep an active Google My Business profile. Set up a rhythm for you, a cadence for how you update it, how you take a look at it, different things that you can do to keep it fresh. A few quick things about repair shop websites. We have more than 2,500 repair shop customers, 15 years of experience building and managing websites for repair shops. We have an exclusive focus on auto repair, 0 contracts. We do not believe in contracts, 0 added costs for customer support, and in most cases, websites made live 3 business days. All right, I am going to look at what questions that we have here. I see we've got at least a couple, so let me take a look at this and see if I can pop this question panel out. All right, wow, even more questions that I experienced than I knew. Okay, let's see. I want to read this just quickly to sum up the question. So, the question related to Google reviews, they're very important. Experience with automated services to solicit Google reviews or any review comment that can go on your website. So related to Google reviews and maybe automated services, so there are a lot of good automated services. And as I speak about it, I'll reference what we have just because I know the most about that one. But we have a service called Integrated Reviews. Basically what you do, you take a customer's email address, you put their email address in there, you hit send, they'll receive an email asking for a review. There are other services similar to that. There are others that may do automated as well. Those, very good, because anything that helps you request that review is going to be key. We did a survey of auto repair customers. It was early 2019, and we asked them, have you submitted a review? Are you more likely to submit a review if somebody asks? Far and away, people are more likely to submit a review if asked. And if you send something to them, that gives them a good chance to either click on a link, or even if it's through a text or something like that, they click on the link right there, submit a review. What's also very helpful, if they've got that automatic thing where they submit a review and then they can submit it on Google. That's our integrated reviews is set up that way. So the review technically is for your website, but when they submit a good one, it automatically prompts them to submit a review on Google. Those are good. It's just another way, another touch for you to get out there and ask for the reviews. As far as comments or responses, I think that's variable. It depends. You want to find if you're working with somebody for that, and we do that as well. You want to find somebody that's going to be true to how you might respond and do a good job of that. So, might be a little bit of a feeling out process. Okay, yeah, what suggestions do you have to automate and maximize the collection of reviews, good, bad, and indifferent? It starts with the verbal ask. Anybody who talks to customers, train them up, tell them the reviews are really important to us. This is going to help us be found. It's going to help our business. You are a key ambassador for this shop. You have interaction with the customer that is so valuable. And if you ask them for a review, they're likely going to give us a review. So start with that. Have the follow-up with the technology, emails, text, perhaps, if you have the ability to communicate via text with customers. You ask for those reviews, and don't be afraid to use multiple media to do that. In person makes a big difference, but utilize other technology as you can as well, because that can be definitely effective. Are you limited on the description on Google My Business? Yes. So I don't know exactly what it is and whether it's limited by number of, sometimes they limit by characters, sometimes by words. There is a limit, but it's a pretty liberal limit. So you're probably not going to bump up against some hard number unless you try to put 3,000 words in there. You want it to be somewhat concise, because think about it as well. It's in part for customers while also communicating to Google. So take advantage of what you do have there, but you don't want it to be one long paragraph, without any breaks. So think about it from that standpoint. You want to write for humans, like you should with your website. You want to write for humans, but you also want to have things that Google's going to notice and that are going to help you. A couple more questions have here. How quickly will changes I make to my Google My Business profile show up publicly? Most often, it's going to be within a couple days. There have been some things that we've done where it seems like it's almost immediate. That's not super common, but most likely you're going to see it within a couple of days. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but if you're the owner of the account or one of the people who are tabbed as one of the owners of the profile, and you go in there and make a change, then it's gonna show up fairly quickly. Should I respond to bad reviews? Oh, that's a good one. Yes, you definitely should respond to bad reviews. What you should not do is respond abrasively to bad reviews, because remember, people are going to be using this to help them make a decision as to whether they want to choose your shop or not. You can put yourself in a really good light if you respond professionally and kind to negative reviews. I'm always a fan of the I'm sorry you had a bad experience. Clearly, one of the things you want to do is find out as much about what happened as you can. You may know. You may know. It may have been raised. So make sure you're as aware as possible. If it's something that happened that you take complete fault for, I think it's okay to say, we shoot for a high level of customer service. Unfortunately, in this case, we didn't hit the bar, but I want to talk to you about how we can make this right. Please give me a call or contact the shop so we can talk to you. If you know that this is just a difficult customer, or you did nothing wrong, you just a bad situation, or somebody that wasn't going to be happy no matter what, then you can still go with the, hey, I'm sorry you had a bad experience with our shop. We take great pride in delivering excellent customer service. I'd be happy to talk to you about what happened and what some next steps might be, please contact me at your earliest convenience at the shop. But what you really want to say is, sorry you feel like you've had a bad experience. You can't control that, really. A person's going to kind of feel that way. But let's talk about this. Let's not get in a he said, she said, she said, she said, he said type of a battle through an online platform, because that's not going to serve anybody well. So, reply with dignity, reply with kindness, reply professionally, and it's going to put you in a really good light, because these are somebody goes through there, they're looking at your profile. One of the things I do, I want to look at reviews that are good. I want to look at reviews that are bad. What am I missing here? Think about products on Amazon, and you find something and it's got a high rate, and it's like, oh wow, well this seems like the perfect product, right? But then you dig into some of those reviews that weren't so good, and you can either say that's something I really care about, or it's something I don't care at all about. And if you don't care, then obviously it doesn't affect you. You go on, you buy the product. Similarly with an auto repair shop, you may say, they sound like they might be a difficult customer, or that's not something I care about. But you also will read the response. So a shop that responds very dignified, professionally, kind. In my eyes, and I think in many consumers' eyes, they're going to look at that and say, wow, this was a really good response. I don't know exactly what happened there. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but they clearly care to offer a good response. It's a professional place. This doesn't stop me from considering this shop at all. So yes, respond to bad reviews very professionally in a good way. So I hope that you found value in this presentation. Again, those last tips at the end were really meant to be the practical tips that you can take away. Please, put those into practice as soon as you can, and it's going to help you out. If you have any additional questions, maybe you've watched this on video, my contact information is right here. You're going to be more likely to get me via email than you will via phone. And one of the things we also do is we do a Google My Business Facebook impact report. It's a free service that we offer to shops, where we go in and we've got this long not spreadsheet, but a kind of a form that we fill out with some things that we think are really critical from a Google My Business and Facebook standpoint. So we'll go through there. We'll look at your Google My Business and your Facebook page. We'll not grade is not really the right word, but we go through these checks to say, yeah, they're doing this, not doing this. Here are some ways that they can do this better. If that's something you're interested in, shoot me an email. We'd be happy to do that for you, for your shop. Again, I hope you found this really valuable. Any time, any chance I can be of help, please feel to reach out to me, and hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for participating.